If you ever feel out of control around food, you're not alone, and you're in the right place to learn practical, no-nonsense information about why you binge and how to stop. Binge eating does not mean that something is wrong with you. It's a natural but primitive brain response that you can correct. If you're ready for change, sign up for the Brain Over Binge self-paced online course for less than $20 per month. And if you feel you need personalized support, we also offer one-on-one coaching and group coaching. To learn more, go to brainoverbinge.com/subscribe. And I hope you enjoy the show. Welcome to the Brain Over Binge podcast, where you learn a simple, brain-based approach to ending binge eating. I'm Katherine Hansen, and I hope you're doing well today. And I also hope that you feel like you're making progress toward having a healthy relationship with food, and also learning to live a life where you nourish yourself without overthinking it or without feeling like your eating has to be perfect. I know each one of you listening has so much going on and so many responsibilities and worries and problems, as well as good things in your life. And I want to help make the food part easier so you can focus on what truly matters to you. Ending binge eating will bring you a long way toward that goal. It will free up so much of your time and energy and mental space. And I know you want to quit this behavior. Otherwise, you would not be here listening. But sometimes, even if you want to recover, you may find yourself feeling like you're acting automatically when the binge urge appears. You may feel like you're unable to stop and think clearly and make a different choice. If you're in this situation, this episode is going to give you some help. Coach Julie and I are going to talk about the power of the pause and teach you how you can learn to pause in the midst of even strong urges so that you can get in touch with your own power to overcome them. Hi, Julie. So glad you're here.
Hi, Katherine. So happy to be back with you.
Awesome. I love that, we do these podcasts regularly and try to offer really helpful tips and information that people can use in their own way to overcome binging. Today, we're going to be talking about the power of the pause. And I think this is something really important because a lot of times people feel like they're going into binges really automatically, and the ability to pause feels, kind of out of reach. So can you kind of set up what we're going to be talking about today?
Yeah, absolutely. I am a mindfulness teacher, and there's a really famous quote by Viktor Frankl that is shared often in the mindfulness world and in other places. And I'm just going to read it out and then I'll talk more about it. Between stimulus and response, there is a space. In that space lies our freedom and power to choose our response. In our response lies our growth and freedom. And so that quote to me by Viktor Frankl, who is a Holocaust survivor and wrote the book Man's Search for Meaning, is so powerful because it alludes to the topic of our podcast and a tool that I share with all the clients that I work with, which is that power of the pause, that moment where you stop and you collect yourself and you make an active choice, an active decision in your best interest, as opposed to just reacting.
Yeah, because that's what we're trying to teach people to do. These urges that are very conditioned in the brain want to make us binge. They're propelling us toward this behavior that's harmful to us. And the goal is to make a different choice in that moment. And pausing is really where that freedom of choice lies. And that quote is it's very applicable here.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, what if we all took regular moments in our day to stop, to breathe, to check in? Think about how our lives would change and how that would impact all areas of life, including for people listening to this podcast, your relationship to food and your body and binge eating. Taking those moments to stop and pause and choose your response.
I really like how you mentioned pausing at different moments during the day, because right now, I think some of the listeners' concern would be, well, I feel like I can't pause in the moments of the urge. But when you get practice pausing at other times during the day, you kind of build up that muscle.
That's right. Absolutely. In fact, that's how I start. I start every group coaching call with mindful breathing. And I say it every time that we want to build in these micro moments of pausing, 1 minute of slow, deep breathing throughout the day regularly, so that in a moment when you're in an urge, it comes to you because you've been practicing it like a fire drill. We have fire drills so that when there's an actual fire, people know where to go when they're feeling a little activated, right? It's the same thing. If we're taking breathing breaks regularly throughout our day, then when we feel a little activated by an urge, we can stop and breathe and pause and make the choice that we really want for ourselves, not what we think we want in the moment, but what we truly want for ourselves long term.
Yeah, I think all that makes so much sense. I love the fire drill example because you're right. Like in a fire drill, we're feeling calm. We know what to do. We practice. And then in the moment that it's actually happening, if you hadn't practiced, you might just go automatically into a very unhelpful behavior and into
Right.
sort of a panic. So, yeah, I really think that's a great example. So, I know that you have a specific practice, like you mentioned, that you open the group calls with. And this is something that I'm really excited to have you take podcast listeners through today
Yep.
as well.
Yep. Yeah, I was really excited to do this because I feel like everybody listening, you can come back to this podcast and in the moment of an urge, you can just put this on and do it with us. So I would love for everyone, if you're game, wherever you are, doesn't need any special equipment, but just stop for a moment or pause the podcast and come into a mindful posture, a comfortable mindful posture. So if you're sitting down, that's fine. If you're standing up, that's fine. And I love to encourage people to gently place their hands over their heart, because when you do that, when you place your hands on your heart, several things are happening. First of all, the warmth of your hands against your heart is going to slow your heart rate down, which is going to help bring your body into the parasympathetic or rest and digest response. That's the first thing. The second thing is that when you press against your heart with your hands, you're releasing oxytocin, which is the feel-good hormone, the hug hormone, into your system. It's like you're giving yourself a hug. And you're going to be able to feel your breathing and your heartbeat as we go through this little exercise. So just gently placing your hands there. The other thing that it does is it stimulates the vagus nerve, which is also involved in getting into the parasympathetic response. So just that gesture of placing your hands on your heart, already you might be feeling a little bit calmer. So just notice that. Everybody listening, notice. And then as you've got your hands on your heart, if it's available to you, I invite you to gently close your eyes and then just very slowly take a nice deep breath in through your nose. And then maybe sigh it out. Just letting everything go. Just coming into your breathing. So letting go of everything that happened before you turned on this podcast and not worrying about what's coming next. You're just breathing. Feeling the air as it moves all the way into your body on the inhale. Maybe you're feeling your hands rise with your chest and then all the way out of your body on the exhale. Coming into this moment and this breath right now. I like to say every breath is a chance to begin again. So you're just breathing all the way in and all the way out. As Pema Chodron says, you are the blue sky and everything else is just the weather. So just breathing. And then very gently and slowly, when you're ready, you can open your eyes, coming back to the podcast. And I encourage everyone who did that with me, check in. Notice how you feel. Notice if there's any shift in your energy from before doing that mindful breathing to now. I know I feel completely different. My energy went right down. It felt so much calmer. So just notice if you see any difference and realize that breath, it's always with you. It's right there. It's in your back pocket. It's free. You can do it anytime and nobody needs to know even. And a bonus tip is that if you make your exhales twice as long as your inhales, you're going to go into an even deeper state of relaxation. But what I want everyone to take away from that is that when we check in with our nervous system, with our breathing, and then we're less apt to check out with food.
Thank you, Julie. That was very helpful. I know that my energy shifted as well. And just even something so simple as the breath really puts us in a state where we can better access our higher brain and our power of choice. And in those moments that a binge seems so compelling, if you can just get yourself to stop and take a few breaths, you could be more in touch with that ability to make a different choice.
That's right. Exactly. often when we have those urges, it's because we're activated in some way. And so if we stop and breathe, often that makes all the difference.
I mean, I feel like our brain gets in these habits and these patterns, and a lot of times it is connected to that nervous system activation. And that's just our brain's primal response. Like, you need to binge because that's what you've always done. So the pause is like just that space in between the stimulus and the response. Like you said in the beginning, just connecting with the breath, I think is such a powerful thing. And I know in the group, you also offer other ways for people to kind of help themselves pause in that moment when they're feeling so compelled toward a binge. Can you kind of talk about some of those?
Yeah. I mean, in the group, every week I'm giving new tools and strategies. I call them urge interrupters, different ways to help people in those moments when they're feeling an urge. And so I encourage listeners, if you want more support, come join the group, because if you liked doing that mindful breath with me, there are so many other tools and strategies to employ in these moments.
Yeah, Julie, all those strategies that you teach in the group are so helpful. And if you are interested in the group, Julie's having a call that's open to everyone this Saturday. And Julie, can you tell everyone about that?
Yeah, absolutely. It's something I love to offer. It's a little taste of what it's like to be in the group coaching program with me. So we start with wins and we do mindful breathing, and I do a tiny little lesson on some interesting topic. You'll have to come and see. And then I take coaching questions. And I'm just there to help anyone and everyone who's interested in recovery, because everybody can recover. And it is my mission to help as many people as I possibly can.
Yeah, and I hope many of you will join that call. It's this Saturday, July 29th at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And I'll put a Zoom link in the show description for this podcast episode, so you can just click on that to join that call.
Yeah, great. I hope to see everybody there. Be really wonderful. We can do more of what we did today. And, I'd love to share one more quote, because I do love quotes, just again to underscore the power of the pause, right? So here's the quote. It's by Eddie Hillesum. And it's, sometimes the most important thing in a whole day is the rest we take between two deep breaths.
Yeah, it's super helpful. Thank you so much, Julie, for sharing all of this information about pausing. I hope that it really helps you connect with your own power to make different choices and just to build the binge-free life that you want.
Yeah, me too. Me too. Thanks so much for having me, Catherine.
Yeah, thanks for being here. Thank you for listening to our conversation today, and I hope many of you will join Julie's open call this Saturday. Again, you can find the Zoom link to join in the show description. If you're brand new to the Brain Over Binge approach and you want to learn all of the fundamentals before this call with Julie, you can sign up to get my free ebook, The Brain Over Binge Basics, also through the show description, or alternately, you can get it on the homepage of brainoverbinge.com. The Brain Over Binge Basics is a 30-page PDF that walks you through the basics of what I teach and helps you start applying it in your own life. Regardless of where you are on your journey, I know you can keep moving forward until you have peace and ease surrounding food. And I hope that the ebook and Julie's call will make a positive difference for you. As I end this episode, I want to encourage you and remind you that you have the power to change your brain and live a binge-free life. The Brain Over Binge podcast is produced and recorded by Brain Over Binge Recovery Coaching, LLC. All work is copyrighted by Brain Over Binge Recovery Coaching, LLC, and all rights are reserved. As a disclaimer, the hosts of the Brain Over Binge podcast are not professional counselors or licensed healthcare providers, and this podcast is not a substitute for medical advice or any form of professional therapy. Eating disorders can have serious health consequences, and you are strongly advised to seek medical attention for matters relating to your health. Please get help when you need it, and good luck on your journey. Need more help? You can find all of our current and upcoming options for support at brainoverbinge.com.